Hi, welcome to another video. We're back in the park in this really cool sort of five-a-side pitch area. It's pretty cool. We've got a Zino Pro Plus and we're just basically going to give it a test to decide whether it's a good buy or not. Hi, yeah, so we've got the Zino Pro Plus. Basically take a look at it. It's basically an upgraded version of the Zino Pro, although I don't know exactly what's been upgraded. Probably the battery. I think basically they've tried to get as big a battery as they can possibly get into this case, and maybe a little bit more has been eked out of the controller. The positives are that it's a reasonable controller. It's still the cheapy sort of feeling one that you get with the Xeno 1. It's not, you know, hasn't got telemetry on it and what have you, but it looks like it's a capable controller. I actually sort of slightly prefer this design to the DJI controllers, because you kind of can get your phone in quite nicely. There's nothing around the edges basically obscuring you from touching the edge buttons, which we do have a problem with on the DJI Mavic Pro controller and the Mini 1 controller. But yeah, basically it's got a big battery. It can do 4K 30, so it's a little bit less than the Xeno 2 Plus. The Xeno 2 Plus can do 4K 60, but we're going to give it a go. We're going to see. We haven't got the landing pad with us because we can't basically, we've got it with us, but we can't stick it down. It won't, we're on concrete, so we can't try out the intelligent landing. But we want to give this a go because we flew the Xeno 2 Plus and we weren't too impressed with it. We had lots of problems with the SD cards and what have you. This is not moaning about this SD card. I've tested it already. We've done a compass calibration. We've done a horizontal calibration. So we've definitely done everything we need to do. And basically now I'm going to do my settings and set it into 4K. Right, so we should be in 4K 30 frames. Okay, I'm going to start recording on the drone. So far, I haven't had any issues with this in sort of pre-testing. It has done everything I've asked it to with the SD card. So we're going to see if we can take it off now. Oh, not allowed to take off when, you know, so we haven't got GPS, which is interesting. We should have, you know, good GPS. We're outside. There's no obstruction, so I guess we're going to have to see if the GPSs come. I don't know. There should be more GPSs. And maybe move it about a bit. Yeah, that is strange. Yeah, that's the lowest GPS count that I've seen on a drone that we've tested. So it's only at 3. Now it is possible for there not to be enough GPSs over you, and that's why some drones have multi sort of GPS. So they kind of have like GPS, GLONASS. There's a few others I think, and basically this I think is GPS and GLONASS. So it should pick up enough, but what we can do is we'll power it off and power it on again. So let's just hold down the button. Okay, is it off? Yeah. Now we've done a full firmware upgrade on this, so and that's another thing actually that's a bit annoying about this drone. It's one of their later models. It's like the latest Pro Plus, you know, it's the latest version of the Pro, and you can't do updates on the app. You have to have a Windows PC or laptop, and you have to do them kind of, you have to put, you know, half of it's done by putting files onto the SD card and putting the SD card in. That works pretty well, pretty easy. You could use a Mac to do that, no problem. The issue is where you have, well, I think you can use a Mac, but basically the issue is where you need to run their firmware tool with the quad connected into the laptop, and I've done that because I've got a Dell laptop. I was able to do that. Let's power this up again. So that's a little bit of an annoyment with it. The Xeno 2 Plus could do updates in the app, so that's a downside, although we just had so many problems with the SD card in the Xeno 2 Plus. So although we were using a U3 card, this has not complained about the SD card as yet. Right, so it's starting up again, system initializing. Let's see if it picks up more GPSs. The battery's fully charged, firmware's fully up to date. Everything should be right with this drone for giving it a go. I mean, it's a cloudy day, it's a little bit of wind, you know, I don't know if any of that makes any odds to the GPS signals, so let's see how we get on. But yeah, it's a little bit of a pain. I thought it would just kind of work, but never mind. But yeah, we've only got 3 satellites still at the moment, so let's hope that this isn't something wrong with this particular one. It felt to me like the box wasn't opened. I wasn't 100% certain. We didn't seem to have any, you know, it all seemed to be perfectly sealed. It was shrink wrapped. Everything seemed good. So yeah, I don't understand why we're getting weak GPS signal. Very, very odd. Right, so here, let's have a look through here. See if there's any more calibrations we can do. Yeah, it's a very, you know, again, just frustrations with Hubsons. I mean, I don't know if it's just I've never had an issue with any other drone when I've brought them out. I brought the Mavic Pro out here yesterday. We had no problems getting satellites. It's you know, it's not us. Right, let's try, what is an IMU calibrations? Right, here we go. I'm going to do that. I'm just going to try some things and hope for the best, really. Keep the aircraft power on, do not start the motors. Aircraft on flat ground, it's on flat ground. Let's go through all this. Let's see if that makes any difference whatsoever. I mean, it was shrink wrapped. You know, it doesn't feel like it was a return drone. I think the Xeno 1 that I got looked a bit like it could have been returned. I don't think it was shrink wrapped. And we flew the Xeno 1, that was all fine. So, you know, the only qualms I have about that is battery life, really. This should be good. Yeah, it should be good. It's all upgraded. We've done all the firmware updates. We've done everything that needs doing. But yeah, basically, one thing I'll say actually while we're waiting for that, has it gone on? Yeah, while we're waiting for that, you can get it with a nice case. So this is the nice case that you get with it. It definitely gives DJI a run for its money in the case department. Basically, it's quite a solid case. You know, I mean, this is actually sharing with the Xeno 1 at the moment. That's why you see the white connectors in there. You can get your phone in the front. Yeah, because we didn't actually get a case with this one, but it's the same case that comes with the Xeno 1. It's a very solid, nice case. In fact, I used it to take the Mavic Pro out yesterday, and I was very happy with it. It fits a Mavic Pro, no problem. So yeah, definitely, you know, you can get them for about £20 off eBay. I don't know about in the US, but definitely in the UK, about £20 local UK sellers. So I would definitely consider that if you're thinking, yeah, it looks like it's going to take it a little while to do this, basically, by the looks of it. It's basically working for it now, so, you know, we may have to edit out this part of the video and basically, you know, because it may be too long. Hiya, we're back. It's just a pain. Yeah, basically we've waited for it to do what it's got to do. It's now basically saying ready to fly, so we're going to switch into the video mode. We're going to check our settings again. It always resets itself to 1080p. That's a frustrating thing that we found with the Xeno 2 Plus as well. It's a lot of it is software bugs, but I think also some hardware issues. Anyway, basically, let's do a takeoff. Now that is all over the place, isn't it? Hang on. It's a bit all over the place again. We did a horizontal calibration. I do like the way the gimbal moves very slowly on these, but we did a horizontal calibration, and it's just not, you know, it's not the most stable drone in flight. I mean, this doesn't have optical flow sensors. It doesn't have anything on the bottom essentially to do anything. There's no sensors on the bottom, so it's not like a Mavic Pro or even like a Fimi or a Mini 2. But look, it's just drifting across the sky. We've done calibrations on it. We had some people who we kind of suspect might be from Hubson making comments on the last couple of videos about Xenos, and they kind of were like, oh, have you tried to do this, have you tried to do that? We've done all the things that were suggested. We've done it in the previous videos. It's moving around. I mean, it's not, you know, what else can I say? They move around. I mean, I'm going to get it up higher because I'm a little bit nervous about where it's going to go, but yet they move around. Sorry, coughing a bit there. Yeah, they move around in the air. I mean, I am controlling it now. I'm trying to fly it around, but unlike the Mavic Pro, which we brought out yesterday, and the Mini, and even the Vimy, it moves around. I mean, it kind of slowly moves itself around. But anyway, we're gonna take it up and see. Oh, hang on, that's my fault. That wasn't it. We're gonna take it up and see if we can sort of get some footage. Another thing I'd say is, you know, discussing the sort of quality of the drones. Another thing I'll say is I don't like their chargers very much. I got one with a US plug on it, which was a bit annoying, which I had to use an adapter for. It is fine, I can live with that. But when I got a Xiaomi, the Xiaomi power brick, sorry, the Vimy, which is made by Xiaomi, they look very similar to DJI. You know, it's just, there's a little bit more quality to them. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think with Hubsan, it's like the old sort of, you know, plug it in the wall. It's like makes a humming noise. It's got the normal kind of rounded pin connection rather than like kind of USB and stuff like that. So yeah, I just, you know, again, not impressed really fully with Hubsan's sort of like quality. So we're going to give it a fly. It's still recording, so that's better than the Xeno 2. The Xeno 2 Plus basically stopped recording immediately. So we're gonna fly over the park here, gain some altitude, so we're definitely above everything. Want to be at least sort of 50 meters up. We'll see. You know, it's recording. It moved around in the air, but it is recording. We haven't had any issues with SD cards stopping and starting. We had some problems with the GPS. Now I think if you've only got something like 7 GPS, you will have an issue around, you know, it will move around because it's using GPS to kind of position itself. But we haven't really had that problem with other drones where it struggled to get GPS too much. So you know, it just, now it's got 13, it's fine, it's well up there, so it's probably getting a better signal to the GPS. I mean, we are stood inside kind of metal cage, but not been a problem for other drones, so you know, not sure why that's an issue. We haven't got it pointed at the drone, but the signal seems pretty good. So the controller seems good, you know, the actual signal to the drone seems very good. Pretty happy with that, you know. You know, so there's plus points to this drone. I mean, if you can handle it kind of moving around when it takes off, maybe that's not such a big deal. I quite like the DJI drones where they kind of just sit perfect, brilliant, look really cool, very impressive to other people as well you're watching. Whereas this is kind of a bit more old school. You know, it is basically going around. It is flying about, no problem. So yeah, I don't think it's a bad drone all in all. And you know, let's get it to return home now. So it should return to the takeoff point. So now it should return back. We'll try out some of the smart features, see how basically what's working on it. On the Xeno 2, I think we managed to do a Droney. It has got a large back. I think basically it's kind of an upgraded version of a Xeno 1. So I thought, you know, the Xeno 1, again, when we got it out, it was moving around a bit, but it was certainly a capable drone. We did enjoy flying it. The only downside was the battery life. I think that's the idea of these ones, that the battery life is kind of, you know, a bit more sort of, you know, there's a lot more. It's a 5,000 milliamp battery as compared to a 3,000 milliamp in the Xeno 1. But of course, you know, you can get cheap sort of Xeno 1 batteries on eBay. Zino Pro Plus batteries will probably cost a lot more. Let's see if it gets anywhere near where it took off, because it should sort of remember where it came from based on its GPS. So at the moment I think it's going to land on Rach. So let's hope not. But basically I'm ready to cancel it. Right, let's cancel that, because it wasn't going to land anywhere near where it was meant to land. That's where it was. So we'll get it down about there. Let's drop the camera down a bit. So basically now we've got it down. Let's see what we've got in the modes. So you've got like all the like waypoint modes, orbit modes, that kind of thing. So quite cool. Let's do following mode, active track. I'm going to need to drop the camera right down, probably back it off a bit. Right, there you go, let's drop it down, pick me out. Now I don't think it will let me here because I think it's too high, too low, sorry. So, oh, hang on, back it up a bit, back it up there, right. And then what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and do active track. We've probably got to go up slightly high. Oh. Okay, that's me, I'm pressing the wrong control there. So that's me. Right, so hang on, I want to go into active track. Following mode, active track, right? Drag a box. Go. Right, so now that should follow me, I would have thought. It's not. So hang on, right, we'll stop that again. Let's go into active track again here. Right, following mode, active track. Now it should have got me. I think it has this time. Right, here we go. Let's see what it does. Is it following me? Now we did this with the Mavic Pro yesterday and it did it phenomenally. Now that is not doing it. That is not doing it. You know, I'm sorry, but it's not. You know, let's try it again. It keeps dropping out as well of the mode. So these are the kind of problems with like hubs and drones and sort of cheaper companies really. They're not right. So it's now working. It's just right. Is it following me? It is following me in this direction. It was struggling in the other direction, so it is tracking me now, but it's certainly not as smooth as when we did it with the Mavic Pro yesterday. It is tracking me around. It's not moving too much in the air, but it is actually tracking me, so I think we can call that a reasonable result. But when we did it with the Mavic Pro, it kind of sat behind you and kind of crept around behind you, and you're like, oh, it's following me. And it has obstacle avoidance, which of course this drone doesn't have. This drone doesn't have any sensors, I don't think. There's no sensors in the front, back, sides, underneath. There's nothing. But you know, not too big a deal. That works. Okay, so we'll do the ubiquitous Droney. It's basically, well, you've got to stop recording on the drone to do this. One thing I'll say is stop and starting recording has all worked. There's been no problem with that. Right, so we want a Droney. We want it to go up like, you know, basically a decent distance. And basically we want to, oh, it has to pick me out, I think, basically. Hang on, that's me turning it the wrong way and stuff. Right, so I want to drop it down. But you got to draw a box around yourself again. It's got me. It clearly the AI technology, right, it's, hang on. Altitude too low, less than 5 meters. Right, so it's not, it's at 5.1. But let's take it up a bit, click go. Here we go, Droney mode in progress. It's now moving away from me. It's working, you know, I think we're happy enough with that. It's staying quite stable up in the sky, I'd say. It's not shaking around too much up there. So, you know, again, I don't think that's too bad. I think this is, you know, apart from the hiccups at the beginning and trying to get it going, I don't think it's turning out to be a bad drone. It's actually doing what we want it to do, and I think it's all right. Well, this isn't a mega expensive drone. I mean, we paid, you know, I think it was around about £250, so it wasn't a mega price drone. So it's, you know, again, you can get better quality, but it's going to cost you more money. I think I'd go for this over a Xeno 2 Plus though. I mean, so far, yes, it hasn't got the sensors of the Xeno 2 Plus, but it seems pretty good. Right, so I'm going to stop that because I don't want it to go into the fence. I'm going to turn back on the recording for a second. Let's just have another look in here, which you can do like maybe an orbit mode or something, which we haven't tried out on one of these. Right, so you can set the transmitter as the point of interest. Now I think the problem with that is it will go into those trees. So we've probably got to come out of that, Actually, how do you get out of that? Yeah, there's an X up there. Oh, my hands are cold today. I think basically we want to take it up higher if we want to use that. If we want, because you can basically say the transmitter can be the center. There are other options. So the other options are you can set the current location actually as its point of interest. So that's quite good. So the idea is you'd fly over something and then basically get it to do an orbit. So that's pretty cool. But you can set the set a map location as well. So that's quite interesting. So maybe we'll do that. Okay, so where's the drone now? Maybe we'll set it to there. Set that as its radius. Altitude, it's got it at its current height, and it'll do a radius of 30 meters, which I think we probably need a bit more of a radius. I don't know if you can change the radius. I don't know. Maybe that's somewhere else in some other settings. Orbit speed, you can then, yeah, it doesn't seem to want to. Right, it's doing it now. I think it's actually doing it, is it? Yeah, I think it's doing it. So it's basically orbiting around. I didn't see any settings there for setting the heading. So basically it's got a setting for saying reset heading, but unlike the FEMI drones, there is like a setting that says, free, or kind of towards the direction of the of what the point of interest is. Ideally it wants to be looking at the center of whatever it's looking at, and like imagine it was a big tower like the Eiffel Tower. You don't want it looking at the other direction away from the Eiffel Tower. You want it to kind of show the Eiffel Tower as it sweeps around it, and that's what this, I don't know if this is doing that. It may be doing that. We probably have to go into the, yeah, I think you can hide the menu. So what is it doing? I don't know if it's pointing towards the middle or not, but we could drop the camera down a bit. Again, the gimbal moves nice and slowly on these drones. I think we found that on the Xeno 1, the Zino 2 Plus and this drone. So that's quite nice. The other drones, the gimbal moves up and down really fast, and that doesn't help get very good cinematic shots. So that's quite a nice thing about the Hubsons. So yeah, it's kind of spinning around. I think you got to have the camera pointed at, I don't know whether that was a useful test there. One thing I don't think you get with these, and probably you don't get it with the FEMI either, you do get it on, like, say, the Mavic Air 2, is that you can just like kind of draw a box around something on the Mavic Air 2 and say, right, orbit that. I think that's really cool. You also get that on the Mini 2. So these are good features that you want, really. Right, so that's going round, and it will just keep going round basically, looking at that spot all day. So we'll stop it and we'll come out of that. Its battery's at 50%, so the battery's definitely lasting longer than the Xeno 1. The day we took it out was quite cold. Today's quite cold as well, and we got the Xeno up, we flew around a little bit, and the battery just wasn't able to do anything useful in the time. So definitely need extra batteries to the Xeno 1. The Xeno Pro, it does feel like this battery has got a decent amount of life in it. So yeah, so let's pick the camera back up, and let's have a look around and see what we get. Oh, we could try out the Waypoint mode actually. Let's give the Waypoint mode out a try, because that's a useful little mode. Right, so mission planning. I quite like the system as well, where you can sort of, you can say, right, go here. It can draw on the map. So you can kind of go draw around here, come back there. Can you set that? You can set individual heights, and I think you don't want to go too high, but really I'd like it to default to like 50 meters or something, which I don't think it does, and I think you kind of got to go into each one and set it, which is a bit annoying. So I want it to be nice and high, because the trees here are very high, and also it's about usability, isn't it? Can you sort of easily tap on the screen and do these things? It's not too bad. With cold fingers it's not. Oh yeah, I did do that. Cold fingers, it's not too good an experience, but that's not really its fault. 30 minutes. Well, I'd like it to default to a higher position. Maybe there's a setting in the menu somewhere that enables you to do that. Right, that's set at 50. 30. What we don't want is it going too low, because there's no sensors. It's not gonna, you know, it's gonna hit something. It's not gonna worry about hitting it at all. So yeah, it's not very precise, that, I'd say, and it needs to be, you know, and that's the thing to take into consideration when you're considering getting a drone. You know, how good is the software? You know, how sort of well written is this software? And so far with these drones, I'm not hover time. I don't want to. 3 seconds is fine. Right, here we go. It's a little bit harder to work with. Like, you know, at the end of the day, you know, it's a small screen. You know, you need to be able to deal with these sort of, like, you know, you need to be able to set things up and do a nice sort of, you know, it's got to be user friendly. And I think that's the downside of these drones a little bit, that they don't feel as user friendly to me. Right, so that's 50 meters. Right, so we've got it hovering up there in the sky, so we better get this on the go. So how do I come out of that? Right, you submit it to the drone, you then click done, and away it goes. And it should be doing these waypoints now. You know, it should be going round and basically doing it, and I can see that it is doing it in the sky, so I'm really happy with that. You know, it's this you know, to be fair to the drone, it is actually doing everything we're asking it to do. We had a little bit of an issue getting it going. We had to do firmware updates on our laptop. I did watch other reviews where they said that they couldn't even get it to fly without doing the firmware updates. So we made a point of doing firmware updates. We did all the calibrations and things like that. We took it here, did the horizontal calibration. Battery level's only 40%, so it's going to start moaning and wanting to come back now. But actually, you know, as with the Xeno 1, I think it's quite a capable drone. It's a little bit rough around the edges. It's going to move about in the sky, but as a cheap, you know, sort of beginner drone for getting up and getting decent footage, you know, 4K 30, it's no slouch. I think it's a good drone, because at the end of the day, what you're going to do, you've got your options. You've got a Mini 2, but that costs you about $400 to $500. You fly more combo, you use extra batteries, that kind of thing. This drone, even, you know, we've got the one battery model. This drone is doing a good job, even with the one battery model. We're getting quite a lot of, you know, we're getting a lot going on with it. So I would say it's a good upgrade over the Xeno 1, and probably, I haven't tried the Zino Pro, but I've been told that it's essentially an upgrade of a Xeno 1, because they all could do 4K 30. Only the Xeno 2 Plus can do 4K 60, but it's going round, it's doing what it's supposed to do. It's got a lot of features that you don't get in the sort of, unless you buy a Mavic Pro, you're not going to get kind of some of these advanced features. And although these features are probably a little bit rough around the edges, it is doing its job. It is flying about. It is basically getting footage. For my money, I would still try and get a second-hand Mavic Pro, or potentially get a Mini 2, or a Fimi. But I think that this is a good budget option, and it is actually performing quite well, and it is doing the job. So, you know, unlike the Xeno 2 Plus, which really frustrated with me, this drone is not as frustrating. I'm just hoping the battery holds out until it actually finishes the waypoints that I've asked it to go off and do. Right, it's going to return soon, so we need to let it return. Basically, it's going to return itself, so it's coming back over the park now. Hopefully it will stay at a decent height, and it will return, you know, pretty high, so we don't want it. Where is it returned to? Yeah, it's going the right way. But yeah, basically it's a good drone, I think, for the money. You know, like I said, we paid about, I think it was £250. I mean, that's not very much money for a drone that can get 4K 30 footage, and can fly quite capably. Yes, it kind of, you know, is a little bit sort of in the air, but once it got enough GPSs, I think it was a bit better. But it's not terrible. Just don't fly it anywhere near a pram or something like that, you know. But basically, yeah, it's you know, it's doing a good job. It's doing a good job. So I'm pretty happy with that. It's coming back down now. It looks like it's going to land in a completely different position from where it took off, but it is coming back down. you know, and I don't think we can complain too much. It was a bit of a rocky start, but I think it's yeah, it was a little bit of a rocky start, but I think it basically, right, so it asks you if you want to continue recording or stop recording. I'm just going to stop the recording, I think. But yeah, I mean, you know, no issues with SD cards, unlike the Xeno 2 Plus. It really just, you know, it feels relatively solid. It just was a bit annoying on the startup, but you know, it's the first time we tried to really fly it. Do your calibrations. It's for the money that you're paying for this. I think it's good value. I mean, I think genuinely it is good value. And the Xeno 1 was pretty good, but if you get the Xeno 1, you probably get similar sort of quality from it. Although it didn't, its active track didn't work, I don't think, did it, Rach? Whereas it does work on this. So yeah, I'd go for this over the Xeno 1, but still pretty capable drone. And I would say, you know, for 250, if you can get it good on a good deal, it's worth going for. But anyway, thanks very much for watching. If you like the video, click like. If you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe. There's a notification bell as well. Please click that if you want to be notified of new videos. But thanks very much for watching. You've been great as always. We'll see you again in the next one.